You hear that? You hear that? Let me tell you something about Yorkies and Chihuahuas. Now, if you love Yorkies and Chihuahuas, you keep loving Yorkies and Chihuahuas. Glory be unto the Lord. But let me tell you something about Yorkies and Chihuahuas. I remember one time I was at a family friend's house. And they had this cute little Yorkie. And it's on my lap. It got on my lap. And I'm petting it. I'm petting it. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute. She goes, And she nips at me. And I'm like, I put that little fur ball down so quick because I just felt so, I was like, oh my gosh, y'all are vicious. Y'all are vicious. Why? But then it's like, I like thinking back nowadays, it's like now I understand why they're so vicious. Because they're so little. I remember one time I was at camp, and the activity of the day that we were doing at camp involved horses. Mind you, I was like 10, and I was not an animal person. I had 2 dogs, but I wasn't a big animal person. Like I wasn't a horse person. So, we go throughout our day, we go on the track and stuff. They're introducing us to the horses. And mind you, I had the horse that bit people's clothing. Why? They were like, we don't know why he does that. But I had that horse, and I was like, okay, we gonna see how today goes. So there's about 10 to 12 kids. As we're getting off the horses and done with our activity, I get off my horse. And there's 10 and 12 kids and there's 2 instructors. So I have to sit there and hold my horse until the instructors tell us what to do. It finished helping other kids. So I'm holding the horse. And then it bends down. And it starts to go down. And I'm like, and I take off running. Because I'm like, I'm holding the reins. And I take off running. I'm like, I don't know if it was trying to bite me. I don't know if it was smelling me. All I know is it wasn't going to get me. But at the same time, I was holding the reins and we were running together. So, the horse is just following my lead. I'm like, oh my God. They're like, stop running. And at the same time, I'm crying. And I eventually stopped running. And they're like, why was you running? And I was like, it was trying to bite me. And that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments. I mean, I'm not embarrassed about it now because I'm talking about it, but it was just so embarrassing. I was just like, wow, this is a big animal. Then years later, I was around a horse again. I was like, okay. So, being around the horse, the person that owned the horse was talking like, oh, this is such and such. He's all petting the horse. Like, yeah, you can pet him, you can feed him, you can get him some water. And I'm just sitting there staring at the horse, and I'm like, oh. I don't remember if I petted it or not. I don't think I was petting it, but I was just really being around the horse, and I was like, wow. Like, as I'm sitting, I'm like, wow, there's just such power resonating off this horse. Like, it doesn't make any sense how much power is resonating off this horse. And I'm like, wow, this is truly a really big animal. And, I'm just sitting there in my thoughts. And then, one of my friends was like, hey, come ride the horse with me. Come ride a different horse with me. And I do. This horse was bigger than the horse that I was looking at. And I was like, okay. So I get on the horse, we're riding. And mind you, this was one of those horses that walks. This type of horse didn't run. It just walked really fast. So as you're on top of the horse, you're thinking you're running. And I'm like, oh. And it was that type of nervous excitement. Like, wow, I'm really scared right now, and I'm nervous, but this is kind of fun. And I'm like, and then I get off the horse. I didn't have an embarrassing moment. I didn't have an embarrassing moment that time. But it was just like this power that just resonated off of these horses. It was just like, it was just crazy. And I bring it up before we start. Blessings unto you. Thank you for tuning in with me, Toya. If you're new to the garden, welcome. This is the garden of peace, spirit, love, and truth. So if you feel any of those things in your spirit, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button and vibe out with me in the upcoming videos. But being around these animals and being around that type of power is just so different. It's just so different. And I was watching a video the other day, and these people, they live in Africa and they're doing safari tours. And so, they're driving around taking pictures of these animals, and the cheetah jumps in the car. Yeah, in the car. Not on top of the car, in the car, because mind you, there's no roof on the car. There's no protection. And the cheetah just gets in there and sits, lays down. And I'm like, I'm nervous through the phone and I'm not even in the video. And, I'm looking at the people's expressions. Some people are like, and, other people are like, oh, taking pictures and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, like, there's just, I live in an area that has horses. I live in an area that has birds, crows, coyotes, dogs. I live in a really kind of country type desert area. So that's all the animals that I see on a daily basis, that I'm around on a daily basis. So, as I'm watching this video, I'm like, wow, like, even though these are tourists, the person that's driving the car, they live around these animals. They live around cheetahs, they live around tigers, they live around bears and lions and stuff. Even people who live in Alaska, they're living around bears. They're living around mooses. Like I run across so many animal-like videos of these different type of animals and these people reacting with these animals. Like one lady, she was friends with the moose. She's like, oh, I think you've seen that. Like, oh, come in. Like the person was dropping off groceries. She's like, oh, come in here. I need you to be scared. We just have a moose friend that lives over there. And she turns the camera and the moose is at the door. I'm like, and then me being me, I like to do my research. I like to research stuff. So I'm like, wow, mooses are one of the most dangerous animals. But it's like, how can you call an animal dangerous if it's being? How can you call something dangerous if it's being itself? But anyway, I'm like, wow, these are one of like those top animals that's like they could potentially hurt you. And I'm just like, so she was just so calm, and I'm just watching the video. I'm like, wow, like these people live amongst this stuff. Like, you can go to the zoo, you can go, but to be on the other side of a glass versus being next to these animals, literally going into the jungle and sitting next to a gorilla and its babies, like that's wild. That's crazy. But they're just so comfortable, and it's like that's the word of the day, is comfortability. Like, you have to be comfortable enough to be around those things. Like, you have to really be comfortable because, again, it's an animal. It's an animal. It's going to do what an animal does. But if that animal is comfortable around you, or you're comfortable around that animal, and you're not scared, you know how people be like, oh, like, if you're scared, a dog can see that you're scared. It's going to react to that. Like, it's going to try to bully you or something or whatever. But if you're not scared and you're just living around it, and it is what it is, everything is in peace and harmony. So if you're comfortable, comfortability equals peace amongst anything, whether it's the animal kingdom, human kingdom, bug kingdom. If you have peace, if you have comfort, you have peace. And if you have peace, you have comfortability. And that is the topic we're going to be talking about today. And, as I'm just watching these videos, I'm just like, wow, like these people live amongst these animals and they're comfortable. They're comfortable. Like, I personally, I don't live around those types of animals. So I wouldn't really feel too comfortable laying next to a lion and just being like, I mean, I would, in a sense I would, because God said nothing will harm me. If you have the Lord, nothing's going to harm you. But there's still that, like, that's an animal. That's a big animal. Look at his teeth. There's still those thoughts, and it's just like, it's okay. Be calm, be comfortable. I'm not saying go sit next to a lion. You have the Lord. You have the Lord. But I'm not saying I'm gonna go sit next to a lion, or I'm gonna go shake a bear's hand. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna have respect for that animal, and I'm gonna stay in my little lane over here watching it. I remember when I first came to Texas, I saw this sign. It was like, beware of deer, like jumping in the road and stuff. And I was like, deer? That's weird. We're near houses. We're near civilization. Why would there be deer over here? And then, the next morning, Mom was like, hey, come outside. Come look at the animal. Come look at the deers. And we open the door. I'm thinking it's like one deer. There was a whole pack of them things, babies and all, bucks and all. Like, if you're near a buck, like, those things are huge. And I'm like, wow. And they're just at the door, staring inside the door, because they were feeding it corn. Like, out there, you could feed it corn. Like, you literally buy a big old bag of corn just to feed the deer. And that was just pretty cool. I like that idea. But it was just like, Mom was like, hey, and he puts in his hand. He's feeding them. And I'm like, wow. These people, they live amongst this stuff. And I'm this little girl from the desert. staring at people feed some deer, and I'm like, oh, come do it. I'm like, no. And it wasn't because I was scared. I was nervous, but I wasn't scared. But it was just like, I'm not, I'm not acquainted with that. Like, but eventually, as I was there, I ended up, throwing some corn on the in the grass for it to eat it and stuff. And it was just like, wow, like being near these animals is just so like, wow, like I eventually got comfortable with them to the point to where it was like they was coming closer to me, and I was able to stand really close while they ate. And like it was just comfortable. It was like, yeah, they were skittish if you kind of moved really quickly, but if you were just kind of like chilling, they was chilling. And it was just like comfortability is just the key to everything. For the past few days, I've been comfortable. Like I've been sitting down and just soaking in life, enjoying life around me. Like when you're working constantly, you don't really experience anything. You don't really experience life. I remember my childhood was filled with, hey, can we do this? No, I gotta work. Hey, can we go here? No, I gotta work. And then, on top of that, being a sports band kid, I had sports practice, then I had band practice right after. So I never really, even as a kid, you never really had time to be like, yeah, go jump in the pool, go to the pool, go spend some times with friends outside the house. Go do something. I remember my dad telling me, go do something. Go outside. Not go outside, go play, but go outside and go hang out with some friends. And I was just so comfortable in the busyness that I wasn't really comfortable. It was just like, oh, I gotta go do this, I gotta go do that, I can't go do this because my parents. But it's like, as I got older, in the past few days, I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, wow, like I literally got to the point of comfort that I was the definition of comfortable. Like I literally felt like I felt like comfort defined me. I was comfort. And I was just like, wow, like this is just how God wanted us to be. God didn't want us working a 9 to 5. Well, God didn't want me working a 9 to 5, sitting there doing what I'm doing, always constantly busy. Like how can you really soak in life if you're constantly busy? Go on that trip to the Bahamas. Go take that trip to Alaska if you really wanted to, but be comfortable. Really sit down. Like I was just in the beginning of me being comfortable and sitting down, I felt anxiety. Like it was just like this feeling of like like I have to sit down, like I have to do something. I have to do something. And mind you, I was just sitting there. I was just sitting on the couch and I was just sitting there, and it was just this overrushing feeling of just like I have to do something. Like I have to walk around, or I have to go clean something, or I have to go organize something, or I have to go count some rice. But it was just battling that feeling. It was just getting over that feeling of having to do something and just sitting there. Like try it. Truthfully try it. Just sit down somewhere. Sit in the bed. Sit in the chair. Don't turn on the TV. Just sit there. Just sit there. And just soak in the moment of sitting there. And I promise you, it would change so much. It would change so much because you will literally be breaking down yourself. Like you will be breaking down yourself and pushing in comfort. I know that doesn't sound comfortable. Like why would I make myself uncomfortable to make myself comfortable? Exactly. You're making yourself uncomfortable so that comfort can set in, so you can enjoy little moments and you can enjoy life. Take it day by day. Christ said, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow worries about itself. So don't worry about what's going to go on tomorrow, what's going to go on the next week, or what's going to go on in a couple of days. You don't got to worry about that. When I stopped worrying about stuff like that, and I stopped worrying about my week and literally took it day by day, you can't go back, because now it's just like you already know. Now you already knows how it feels. You already know how it feels to be comfortable. You already know how it feels to just let loose and let everything just kind of be the way it is, and you're just chilling. Like it's such a different type of feeling. And it's like And it's like even experiencing that with animals, it's like, wow, like I'm comfortable enough just to sit next to this dog. Like a dog is a dog. A dog's gonna do what a dog does. But just to sit next to an animal and be comfortable, or even sit with God, like even sit with God in silence. I do that. I do that every day. I do it. I do it a lot of times a day. But just to sit there and be comfortable with sitting, be comfortable with thinking, be comfortable with just the presence of silence. Like this world is so noisy sometimes that it's so hard to even think to myself. Like half the time I can't remember what I need to remember because there's just so much going on, whether it be what's around me, what's going on personally, or whatever, like what I'm looking at or what I'm watching or whatever. Like there's just so much noise. But when you kind of decrease that noise, you definitely increase, your comfortability and just being able to be quiet and just be silent and just relax. Like I never really understood why old people sat on the bench and sat there for hours. Like how are they just sitting there for hours and not doing anything, or just sit for hours? And it's like they became comfortable with that. And it's just like, wow, that's a skill to sit down, to completely sit down somewhere without nothing on and just sitting there and be comfortable and just relaxed and at peace. It's different. Again, it's different. Like that feeling is, it's something, it's something to be mastered. A lot of people be like, oh, you can't do that, like you're lazy if you do that, and da 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 da. You're lazy if you do that. To them, you're lazy if you do that. If you don't consider it lazy, then you don't consider it lazy. But if they consider it lazy, then they just consider it lazy. But at the same time, you're comfortable, you're chilling, you're doing what you're doing. Not saying that you're not doing anything at all throughout the whole day. Not saying that you have to sit there and do that throughout the whole day. But just to experience it, for whether it be a couple minutes or whether it be an hour or however long you feel like doing it, hey, it's definitely something to try, and it's definitely something to just be really comfortable with. Like even then, like just to sit, when I sit and watch the thunderstorms, like even then, like my thought process is like, wow, this thunderstorm is powerful. Wow, this is God really showing how much power he has, and he's comfortable with it. And it's like, why can't I be comfortable with it? Well, why can't you see comfortability as a power? Like, well, I don't have a power to sit in silence and not do nothing. But even when I sit in silence and not do nothing and I stare at the thunderclouds, it's like, wow, like God's just so powerful. It's so peaceful, and it's so breathing. It's so moving at the same time. Even if you want to turn on some meditation music or do yoga or relax or whatever, clear your mind. Clear your mind. Let that silence settle in and be cool, calm, and collected. Like when you're working constantly, if you work a 9 to 5 or if you do whatever, if you're doing something so constantly, you're not looking around. You're not being like, wow, like I could take a day off. You can take a day off. It's okay. I I remember watching so many movies where it's like, I gotta work. Or you see those kid movies where like the parents working, they're like at the cubicle and they're just all slouched over, and like the theme of it's all dead and they're all pale. And then after they get out of that, and they start living life and they start experiencing different things and they start going through different things, even though it's like, oh my gosh, like I've never done this before, and you have your strong opinions about it. Once you start doing it, it's like, wow, I could have been doing this for years. I could have been taking yearly trips to the Bahamas for years and taking that time off to really breathe and meditate and really gain yourself. Like you truthfully gain yourself when you do that. I know it's not like, how do you gain yourself when you do that? Because you're finding yourself. You're finding you. there's been so many times where I've heard people be like, oh my gosh, like, I could have been doing this when I was this age, and I could have been doing that when I was this age, but I decided to do this when I was this age, and I missed out on this, and it's like, wow, like, dang, you, dang, like, you don't even, I don't even know what to say to that, because it's like I don't live that lifestyle. I have a God-based spiritual lifestyle. And I do what God allows me to do. And I do everything for the Father. So if God allows me to go to the park and sit at the park for hours, I'm going to go to the park and I'm going to go sit at the park for hours. If God allows me to just go take a trip somewhere to gain understanding in which I'm supposed to understand, I'm going to go do that. Regardless of work. I can go to work the next day. But today, again, not worrying about tomorrow, I'm going to live for today. I'm off today. So it's like, cool. What am I going to do today? I'm probably going to sit down. I'm probably going to go eat. I'm probably going to watch TV. But I'm soaking in the moments of today with comfortability that I don't have to do any of those things, because I could really just sit in bed all day and chill and be comfortable and vibe out with the Lord and just be cool, calm, and collected. But truthfully, take the time to find comfort. And again, you don't even have to find comfort in just sitting there, but just try it. Try sitting there, or try doing something that you've never done before. Try starting a new hobby. Try reading. Try doing whatever. But just do it. Just do it and fight that feeling of I have to be doing something else. Just fight that feeling. Fight that feeling, because once you fight that feeling and it's over and it's done, you're going to feel so comfortable and you're going to feel so relieved and you're going to feel so free. And I truly highly recommend that you do it and you experience it. And I highly recommend that you're also having a great week and you continue to have a great week. And I'll see you in the next video.